Good afternoon and welcome to our live streaming on Facebook, doing Thursdays at 3 p.m. And David Robertson, my preferred closing attorney. Mike Korin with Classic Realty, and today's opening topic is going to be on bidding wars. It kind of just got segued into from our conversation last week. Bidding wars, also known as multiple offer situations, and this is a rhetorical question, but are they common?
They are, especially in this market. It can be in any kind of market around here. It all depends on, as you'll talk about, price, what's being offered, and what is going to generate interest in the property.
Many parts of America, flyover states, et cetera, homes may be on the market normal 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year to sell. It's not uncommon here, for a week, 2 weeks, boom, homes to sell. My average days on the market 2017 was 3.4 days. So we're proactively working with the sellers to strategize and to come up with a marketing plan to create bidding wars. And I just want to start by saying that bidding wars, they are part of our market, Northern Virginia. They're especially part of a seller's market and a buyer's market. Now, I worked, David and I, both full-time through 2008, 9, 10, and even though prices had plummeted 50%, people that were smart realized it was a red tag clearances, houses were on sale. Guys, I encourage all of you, by the way, I'm taking a tangent here, save your liquid cash for when the world gets on sale, the next correction, because the world is going to go on sale eventually, and we all should be ready for that. So what smart buyers did is any single family homes beneath $300,000, it was an absolute feeding frenzy, and we were still seeing 5, 10 offers per house on the market, and that wasn't even a seller's market. So they're part of our market. Now, something I actually hear, you probably don't know this, David, but on my end, because I'm actually sitting there with the buyers in the first few days and weeks, is I'll actually work with buyers up front, and they will say, well, Mike, I like the house. And I'm like, well, that's great. There's a bunch of other buyers interested, and they go, well, I want to put in an offer, but I don't want to offer more than anyone else because they feel like a sucker. That's what a bidding war is.
Yeah.
So you have to do it. It's about coming up, putting your best foot forward. You don't want to feel like you overpaid. But now with the beauty of these Virginia contracts, I'm only going to speak of Virginia because that's all I work in, is you're protected by the appraisal clause. Now the house has to appraise, otherwise you'll re-enter a negotiation period with the seller where you do something, the seller does something, you meet in the middle to adjust the price, or you null and void the contract, buyer, get your deposit back. Do not be afraid of bidding wars, multiple offers. It is part of Northern Virginia, and if you want to buy a house and not just get the leftover stuff that no one else has picked up, you are absolutely going to have to enter a bidding war. Nelia, welcome to this is a live forum. Thank you for joining, Nelia. If you have any questions about real estate, mortgages, title, our opening topic today is bidding wars or multiple offer situations. But if there's a question you have, Nellie, I encourage you, please type it, and we'll get it answered for you. And if you don't have a question, just watch and give us a thumbs up or click love and spread the word. But yeah, I would say so. It is something buyers, if you want that desirable house, everyone's going to like the same houses. If there's 20 houses on the market, everyone's going after the same 2 or 3. It's going to be a multiple offer situation. So do not be afraid of that. Now, you sellers, what I'm going to be helping to do is to help you to strategize, to come up with a plan, so there's a bidding war on your house. I invest a lot of time and my money into the marketing. Now, a traditional plan was MLS, maybe an open house, and you cross your fingers. I have a 16-point plan. That's 16 major points, about 4 sub-points under each. It's about a 60-point plan. That's why I'm getting, on average, 3.4 days in the market for the seller. So there's things we can do, to prepare. Now, one easy one you seller can do is obviously, condition, getting, your landscaping, the painting, et cetera. We'll talk about that later. But an important one, and one that this is not part of a Thursday at 3 p.m. quick conversation, but I sit down and have a long conversation with the sellers about why this will maximize their returns, is pricing properly. Go ahead and set your price. Let's say if the value of your house is $100, price it at $99. Get that bidding war. You want everyone to cancel all of the appointments that they have at the other buyers' houses, come to yours. You want to create a feeding frenzy. Your house will probably sell for $102, $103.
I can attest to that. Mike was my realtor. We were selling our home. And my wife and I had a certain price in mind we wanted to hit. And then Mike said, well, how would you price it here? We got a little nervous. We said, but Mike, we don't want to sell it at that price. He said, I know. You're not going to. Just watch.
Thank you.
And he was right. And we got multiple offers. We even got some good incentives. The buyer agent came to us and they said, my buyers love this house. What can we do to sweeten our offer? And Mike said, well, yeah, you can. We'll put it as is in the contract and maybe take out the termite clause and some other things. And they did, without question. It was a great sale, and my wife and I ended up selling. And this is the secret. We ended up with bidding war being created, we ended up selling it higher than we originally were thinking of asking for it. Just because with a lower asking price to create the bidding war, people get in there. You've seen this many times.
Everybody wants what they can't have.
They get in there, and then they fall in love with the house, and then they say, no matter what it takes, I want this house. And then it goes up and up, and the bidding war often results in, like I said, price being higher than what the sellers originally were asking for, and they're thrilled.
And terms. So in yours as is.
Yeah, and in great terms too.
So I'll tell you, sellers, you tend to have three goals. Price. So when you price at $99 for that house that's worth $100, you may get more money. But guys, you're probably going to get better terms, reducing your stress. So an as-is situation, they took David's as-is, and with your timeline. So if you're a seller and you're like, well, hey, I absolutely need to be out of my house in 45 days, then we tell them if it's a bidding war, you need to make sure we have cash in hand in 45 days and we're out. We're going to take offer number 2. So that strategy is absolutely important. And I'm going to tell a funny story here, and I hope you don't mind. It was very last minute that I ended up helping David, putting it on the market. And your wife was, I think you had 1 kid and were pregnant at the time. Is that right?
We had 2, and we were pregnant. Yes.
And I think it was probably a Thursday we signed the listing agreement. We went in the house in like a Friday. You had 1 day. I remember you were up all night.
Yeah. And
your pregnant wife, who is amazing, Amanda. And I remember you're out there packing boxes and you were weed whacking and mowing and into the wee hours of the night, but you got it done. And I meet sellers sometime, and God bless, I love all of you. But some of you have 3-4 months to work with, and you're freaking out. You can't do it. He did it in about 1 day, and we had outstanding results. This is the power of focus. So the sellers, we're going to help you to create that. Now, we could do that regardless. Well, I should be very careful about that. Again, bidding wars can be part of any market. Now, there is one little risk of a bidding war, and the risk could be, for simplicity, again, your house is worth $100. Somebody wants to win it, so they offer $110. Now, let's say nothing in that community has ever sold above $102. The appraiser might say, well, hey, there's going to be some difficulty on this, because if the appraiser tells the lender it's okay, and they furnish the $110 on that house, heaven forbid, 6 months down the road, that buyer can't afford the payments, has to get foreclosed on, the lender wants to know they have to get their money back. So the risk is appraisal. That typically there's a 21-day appraisal clause after going into an agreement, buyer and seller. And if you go too crazy, there may be a renegotiation period. Now, in certain markets, 2008, 2009, 2010, there pretty much were no appraisal clauses. There were no. It was crazy times, everyone. It was the Wild West. Everyone saying we're going to risk it. Everyone magically had a great-great-grandfather that was lending them $200,000 so the appraisal could get waived. Where there's will, there's a way. And I've been, I'm about to enter, believe it or not, my 17th year full-time in real estate, and I found there's will, there's a way. So buyers, sellers, regardless of any market, when you're driven enough, you know what? You find results. You find answers. Definitely seen that.
Here's how it works with the appraisal. It's just the structure on the contract that's used around here. If the appraisal comes in below the sales price, the buyer can ask the seller, hey, will you please lower the price to match the appraisal? The seller can say, okay, or the seller can say no. And then the buyer at that point would have to make a choice. Do I still want to go forward and buy the home? Do I have the cash to make up for it? Because when the appraisal comes in low, the loan amount is also going to be affected. And that would mean if the sales price doesn't change, the buyer is going to have to come up with that extra money to make up the difference with a lower loan amount that they wanted originally. So can the buyer close at the same sales price? Do they want to, or do they want to walk away? So those are the changes. Those are the options that the buyer has in that situation. And if a buyer wants it bad enough, they were competing, they won, they beat out 10 other offers, and this is their dream home, and they've got the money, maybe they'll just go forward, even if the seller's not willing to lower the price. But that's the risk that Mike's talking about, that the seller might lose a buyer who doesn't want to go forward with the same sales price. But there's no risk-free situation. But that's how it works. That's the structure of an appraisal contingency.
Great. And sellers, I would absolutely love to be your realtor, but regardless if it's me or if it's someone else, there is part of the listing agreement where you have to check and agree to give permission for your realtor to disclose the existence of other offers to other realtors. Absolutely give permission, because that's how a bidding war happens.
Yeah. And it's hard to think of a situation how could it hurt a seller? So I'm asking you questions, Mike. How could it hurt a seller not to disclose?
I can't think of a good reason.
Other offers.
Yeah. Someone somewhere, I assume, sued something over something, and now everyone's checking this little box.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, absolutely, you do want to do everything you can, sellers, to create that bidding war. It doesn't hurt to have multiple offers. It's like everything in life. If gold was common, nobody would want it. Everyone wants what they can't have.
Sure.
Everyone, please feel free just to reach out. I know most of you can be watching this after the fact. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to type them below, or even better, send me a private message just so it doesn't get skipped. And if you're having thoughts of buying or selling, as always, please reach out. David and I will be happy to be of service to you.
Yeah.
Hope everyone's having a great day. Bye-bye.
Okay.